I think is distinctive about design history as a discipline? First of all, that's a difficult question to answer. Partly because I think what makes design history exciting is that it is inherently quite multidisciplinary. And it's also a discipline that's constantly evolving and changing. But I think maybe what makes it distinct from anything else is partly the history of the subject itself and where it evolved from and its connection with art school education. And I think that always then gives the discipline, although it's historical, a connection to the contemporary. The other thing that makes design history interesting is the way it's not just a discipline that kind of takes from other fields, it's also one that adds to those fields. So, what's in my design history toolkit? First of all, I'd have to think about the kind of sensibilities that frame that toolkit. I think a really important sensibility is a sense of genuine kind of wonder at objects and things. Another is the need to be creative. When you're trying to kind of piece together history, you rarely find a kind of a linear pathway through your sources. So you have to be able to think laterally. You also, I think, need to think creatively to try and kind of put yourself in the shoes or the place of the people and the context of the things that you're researching. And then I think also another kind of crucial, maybe more kind of skills-based tool might be one of kind of visual analysis and a real kind of ability to think about why things look the way they do. I started out with a training in design history, so that was kind of where I started. But as my career has progressed, I would say I've moved more towards a concern with kind of contemporary design practice. But that's not to say I think that design history is any less significant or important. I always, whenever I'm thinking about a subject, so for example at the moment my research is oriented around thinking about design for aging. My first question is always, how was this done before? So in everything that I do, although I wouldn't class myself as a design historian anymore, I still kind of approach it through that lens or starting point of design history. To some extent, all design history is socially engaged. I would be looking specifically at design histories that are foregrounding questions of power and inclusion or exclusion. So looking at histories that maybe haven't been centred or even uncovered. Looking at histories where the kind of power structures at play in terms of who is being designed for or not designed for, and processes of design and how power runs through that. So those would be the kind of histories that I think I would maybe class as being kind of social design histories.